Welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR podcast. I am Race for the Prize. Let's do COTA Truck Series picks Saturday morning show. I apologize. I made a mistake. I own it. The initial feed that I pulled the qualifying data was incorrect. You can see the initial feed, and so the previous video is a wash. I am deeply sorry, and again, I own my mistake. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but what has changed is not really any of the takes or analysis, but we now have Lois Allen starting further back. We have Daniel Dye starting further back. So really the change is that the plays that we liked, the value that we liked in the previous builds were good. Now they've become a lot more comfortable. They've become a lot more safe. And I will make this quick to not take up too much of your time, and I apologize for wasting your time earlier. I'm not going to go deep into it, but we love Connor Zellage. You've heard me go on and on about it this week. You may have watched the previous videos. It looks great. The kid looks great. And I know I'm a little biased because of my love of Mazda. Whatever. I know I'm biased because of endurance racing, but everyone loves him. Everyone in the industry loves him. Kyle Larson says that he's disappointed that he only was a 3/4 of a second faster, lap after lap throughout this race. He's only going to get better. He's going to turn and burn. He's going to destroy the field. I like Zillage. Ben Rhodes, very similar to the Stuart Friesen play from last year, big place differential play, a very similar price tag. Had a spring issue in practice. They'll fix a spring. Said the truck had speed before. We don't even really need speed from him. He'll be fine. I'm not going to go too deep into the analysis because I want to keep it quick. We're all jamming in Rhodes. We're all jamming in Zillage. I like Lois Allen a lot. You've heard me talk about him a lot. Good truck history on the road courses. I know he has never been really the greatest driver. If you don't believe in the Ram truck, I think you can believe in the Ram truck. Now, before going into the week, based on previous optimal lineups, we were looking for 4 top 10s, 2 value picks. But the way that things have sorted themselves out, I really strongly believe we can get 5 top 10s. The next question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to overpay for a top 5? Ross Chastain is going to give you a safe and secure top 5. You can build some pretty good lineups with him, but he's going to create some constraints in your lineup that's going to make it more difficult to get 5 top 10 finishes. You can easily build a lineup with Ross Chastain that's going to give you 4 for sure. But getting that 5th guy into the top 10 or maximizing points becomes a little bit difficult. So then you consider going to possibly Corey Heim in that spot. But Corey Heim starting 2nd. Again, probably another safe and secure top 5, but he could lose some place differential, and he's probably not going to be on the board for me. Chastain is barely on the board. You can build some good lineups, but again, it's marginal difference there. You are definitely overpaying for a top 5, and you're creating constraints. So clearly the pivots are going to be Majeski and Eckes are going to be one of the guys that we are going to favor in that spot. We'll go to Eckes because he's going to give us the most, and I think I like Eckes more than I do Ty Majeski, but I don't fault you for going to Ty Majeski in that spot, but that $200 can create a little bit of a constraint. From there, I like going to Tyler Ankrum. I've loved him this week. We'll continue. Like what he's doing this season. Love what he's doing this season. The McAnally trucks are fast. He has really good road course stats in the trucks. Everything checks out. Can he get me a top 10? Yes. Can he knock on the door of top 5? Yes. I got 7,600 left. And then there it is, Rajah Caruth. You may not be buying in just yet, but every challenge that he has faced, every task that has been presented to him so far, he has been up to task. The Spire trucks look good. Can he get a top 10? Yes, he works absolutely in that spot. That seems to be a really solid lineup right there. From there, now we're just playing around and messing around with our lineups, and we can say, well, if you don't buy into Lois Allen, Daniel Dye is there, top 20 road course driver in the past. The equipment checks out. Fine. So now I've got 7,100. That takes Rajah Caruth off the board. You can consider Chase Purdy in that situation. Very similar. I don't know if he can get us a top 10, but we're talking about who can score more points. Is it going to be Chase Purdy at 35, or is it going to be Rajah Caruth getting into the top 10? If you're not buying in a Rajah Caruth, I understand. Then you probably go to Chase Purdy with another Spire truck. That is a fine play as well. And so now we're just messing around building lineups. So maybe we don't want to overspend for a top 10, even with Christian Eckes. There are other routes to go. We can go with Jack Hawksworth. Clearly can get us a top 10, maybe a top 5. Former IndyCar racer. IMSA champion at the moment, just won at Sebring. Good truck with Tricon. Look good in practice, look good in the race. And so what kind of build can we do? We've got 9,100. We can go in all kinds of different directions. We can go with Stuart Friesen at 8,400. Friesen can get us a little bit of place differential, can get in the top 10. Not super excited about rostering Friesen, but it's not that much of a stretch. Like we said, had a good race at Mid-Ohio last year. Don't love it, but, Friesen, Kruth, whichever way you want to go, that is another build. Let's see, what else could we mess around with here in this range as I fly through and try to go as fast as possible. But that's going with the Daniel Dye. Maybe if we put Purdy in here as our value pick, and we still have 8,000 left, and we can go to, obviously we can get Kruth still. This looks like the general build that we're going to go in. If I want to go with an overspend on just to experiment with doing Ross Chastain, maybe he does have a good day. Although he doesn't seem super excited about his truck. It still is Ross Chastain. So what's our build looking like? I think if we're going to go there, then we have to go back down to Lawless Allen. If we're going to spend up right there, we still have 7,600 per driver left. That means we can get Tyler Ankrum if we want. But then our fifth pick, as I mentioned before, we're really pushing it to get a top 10. And, I mean, there are guys that we can slide in. We can't quite get to Purdy. We can leave some money on the table with Thad Moffitt. I don't like doing that. We can go with Daniel Dye. And that's a fine lineup, but I don't think that scores enough points. So, again, we get away from that, and we just keep landing back on Christian Eckes, and then we're back to the Rajah Caruth play. So we're not messing with Rhodes. We're not messing with Zelich. We can play around with our value a little bit, but we're still coming back around to the same guys. And then Friesen pops off, then Hawksworth pops off. I guess Brett Holmes is going to be a little bit more viable because now he is starting further back than I had originally thought. Jake Garcia is also a consideration starting 25th. He was a 20th place driver. He's somewhere where we could go. Let's throw Jake Garcia in the lineup and see what we're looking at. Let's see. Yeah, Jake Garcia could slide in there. But I don't think Jake Garcia is going to have that great of a day. I still really want to maximize with top 10s. Let's slide in Friesen instead of Hawksworth to start the build. And I got 9,200. Really doesn't change much. I'm not talking much about Matt Crafton. Maybe I should, but I don't think Matt Crafton is really someone that I want to chase after this week. He is a possibility. We do have stage cycling. We could get some chaos, and he is having halfway decent season a little bit. Hasn't been great, but he has been better than probably expected as he gets into the groove with his crew chief. But the days of him and of Matt Crafton championships are long gone. I still think that I want to go back with Eckes here. I like Ankrum. What if I get off of Ankrum and then I go to Rajah Caruth and I 7-9. So I keep ending up in the same spots. I'm going to go with one value, and you could switch Allen to. So what I got 9,000, and that fits in Friesen in there. If I want to go to Friesen, that fits in Ankrum if I want to go there. So if I take out that, I like all of these guys. I like Ankrum a lot, so it gives me 5,500. So if I'm looking in the 5,500 range, we can go to Allen. Boom, there's one lineup. Can't get to Daniel Dye. That's a little tougher. But I can go crazy with Thad Moffitt. I don't like going to that play. You can go to Brett Holmes, possibly. Not really super excited about that. Anybody else? No. So those are the possible lineups there. So if I take out Eckes and I go with Hawksworth, and this lands me in the 75 range, which is really kind of a no man's land. We've already got Caruth in the lineup. Anywhere else that I want to go, I can go to Chase Purdy. I can leave money on the table and throw in Lawless Allen. I mean, that might kind of sound like galaxy brain, but we, like I said, in this previous situation where you had the freeze in big time value come through, we left $1,500. There's Wallace Allen in that lineup, $1,500 on the table, just because we don't see really that many other plays on the board. I think that's where you're going. Clearly, Rhodes, Zilich. You want to get Hawksworth in. You want to get Stuart Friesen in. That's fine. Let's try to jam in. Is there any way that I can go different with Chastain? 4,500. We get out of that. We go to Wallace Allen. We got 6,600. And again, we're just going to leave some money on the table. I don't really like playing Bailey Curry. Yeah. Stephen Parsons is a guy that I had liked in the previous video, but as we got the real qualifying data, I like Henderson. I like Parsons based on what he did in the Xfinity Series when his his car wasn't having mechanical failures. He was a top 15 car and some just average equipment, but now he's starting a little bit closer to the front with an updated qualifying grid. I'm not really that excited, and I don't really want 2 punts in my lineup. I just keep telling myself I don't want 2 punts, and so that means Chastain just doesn't work for me, and I like the place differential with Eckes. I know I'm just repeating myself here, but that's what it is. I like it, and here I am. And that's a chalk lineup that's going to get entered 7,000 times. So I'll enter it, but you're going to split the pot if that's the one that comes through. And even if you go the Daniel Dye route, like, I want to be different. I got to change things around. So I can't get Caruth. So then you're going to be building 5,000 lineups that you're going to split with Chase Purdy. And that doesn't really help. So if you want to get different, you can't get different here. You can't get different here. You can get different here, but everyone's already going to get different here. Anchor was going to be pretty popular. We got 7,100. Any way that I can change this around? No, we keep coming up on the same guys, the same player pool, and looks like we're all going to be playing the same lineups is the honest answer. The only thing that could change things is if Zilich doesn't absolutely crush the field, and I just don't see him not crushing the field. You get Majeski lineups. Yep. So that's what we're looking at. Again, I apologize for messing up the qualifying grid. That's your basic roster construction. That's your basic player pool. You can build as many of those lineups as you want. Biggest takeaway is I'm really trying to target 5 top 10s. I can do it as long as I don't play Ross Chastain. Heim's not really on the board for me. You're going to end up kind of in the same spot. So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.